Vita is one of my all-time favorite movies. So when I found out there was going to be an alternate ending, I got pretty excited. It's not often that movies release alternate endings, but this one is pretty good. So let's just jump into it. Okay, first off, I really like the opening scene of this version. Instead of waking up in the hospital, we find Guido in bed with Dora, and she wakes him up so they can run away together and have a life outside the camp. Now, this isn't exactly an alternate universe where everything is different. It's more like what could have happened if certain decisions were made differently. Like Guido joining the resistance while he's still in the camp. So after Guido wakes up, he actually goes to the bathroom and looks at himself in the mirror and says, "I have to do something about this hair." And he proceeds to cut off his own hair. Now, after he does that, he grabs some tools and makes a hole in the wall of the bathroom. And through this hole, he watches what's happening outside the bathroom. He sees some people getting beaten by the guards, and decides he needs to do something about it. Guido then takes a bucket of water and starts pouring it on the electric fence. And once it's charged, he touches it with a metal pipe and zaps himself. The other prisoners are stunned and surprised because no one has ever tried to escape before. And Guido crawls through the fence and runs away. Now, I know this might seem kind of dumb to you, but think about how hopeless the situation was for these people. If someone tried to escape, they would probably get shot immediately, so they had nothing to lose. And escaping didn't seem like much of a possibility, especially with that big old fence. But Guido gave it a shot anyway. And even though he got zapped, I think it showed the prisoners that maybe there was hope. And later in the movie, we see many people trying to escape, which I think is directly related to Guido's actions. After he escapes, he runs to a farmhouse and hides in the hayloft. And soon the farmer finds him and offers him food and shelter. Guido asks if he can take a shower, but the farmer says, no showers. Which kind of makes me think that the farmer knew about the resistance and did want to get involved. The next morning, Guido wakes up early and sneaks out of the farmhouse. He then goes back to the camp to look for Dora, but she's nowhere to be found. As he's walking around, he hears some shouting and sees a group of soldiers and civilians gathered around. They tell Guido that he's late for work, and he replies, "But I'm not a prisoner." Then they beat him up and tell him he's not allowed to leave the camp. So Guido realizes he's gonna have to fight back against the Germans in order to survive. And the way he decides to do that is by hiding weapons and tools in the walls of the buildings. Later in the movie, we see him hiding picks in a pile of bricks. And it seems like this is his plan to arm the prisoners so they can fight back. At this point in the movie, Guido is basically leading the resistance inside the camp. And one day he gathers everyone together and tells them the Allies are coming to rescue them. Everyone is super happy about this, especially Guido. He looks at Dora and says, "We're gonna make it." Then Guido announces his plan to escape. He wants to blow up the power station, so they can use the blackout as a cover to escape. So Guido gives everyone tools and instructions, and they all go and sabotage the power station. Now, I don't remember if they blew up the main power station or just one of the smaller ones. But either way, it caused a blackout, and all the German soldiers lost their guns. This was actually pretty brilliant, because it turned the prisoners from victims into aggressors. They took control of the camp and liberated themselves. After the blackout, Guido frees all the prisoners and marches with them toward the mountains. Throughout the movie, there's this little girl who follows Guido everywhere. She's kind of like his daughter, and Guido has been protecting her the whole time. But unfortunately, she gets separated from the group. So Guido turns around and goes back to find her. He eventually finds her being held captive by a German officer, so he kills him, and she's free. And after that, Guido reunites with the others, and they all continue their journey to the mountains. Unfortunately, they're being followed by some German soldiers, so Guido tells everyone to run and hide in the cave. Then he stays behind to distract the soldiers. He talks with them through the opening of the cave, and they actually see inside because there is a bunch of smoke coming out. So Guido keeps talking and talking until he sees the chance to escape. He drops his bag of tools and runs toward the mountain. The soldiers try to shoot him, but they can't hit anything through the smoke. And when they finally clear it out, they see Guido is gone. Now, the final scene takes place back at the farmhouse where Guido and Dora are reunited. The farmer comes in and tells them the Germans are retreating and the Allies are almost here. Guido and Dora embrace, and the movie ends. Okay, so this ending was pretty cool. It's definitely different than the original, and I think it works really well. It shows what could have happened if Guido was more proactive and actually joined the resistance. He was always helping people out and being a positive influence. but he never really took charge. In this version, he's basically the leader, and without him, I don't think the prisoners would have been able to escape. I also thought it was interesting that this version was explained before it played. Usually, movies don't do that. And I think it was done to prevent any confusion, since this is technically an alternate ending. The original version is obviously much darker, but I think both endings work really well. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because there's actually a part to that. It's supposed to be released soon, and I couldn't find any information about it online. It's almost like it doesn't exist, which is weird, because I distinctly remember seeing it. I think I saw it at the theater. And it was playing right after the original version finished. But now I can't find anything about it anywhere. So I'm hoping that part 2 gets released soon, because I really want to see it. If you guys know anything about it, please let me know. Either way, I really enjoyed watching these two versions back to back. And if you haven't seen La Vita e Belle yet, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful movie, and it has an incredible message. I think it's important to remember that even in the darkest times, hope is the most powerful force of all. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. And as always, stay happy and keep creating.